Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Trump's evisceration of the National Labor Relations Board. This is another now. It's I know hard to keep track, but I also want to resist all temptation to trivialize or minimize or try to compare hydrogen bombs and atom bombs. This is another absolutely unlawful assault on the administrative state and the separation of powers that in any way limits the executive branch. What its effect is to do is completely abnegate the NLRB. So the NLRB, the board itself has 5 members, and they act according to majority rule. There's some Democrats and some Republicans. There are 2 vacancies now on that board. There are 3 members. There were 3 members until yesterday. The 3 members were 2 Republican and 1 Democrat. You can guess what Trump did. He just summarily fired the Democratic member. So not only did he single out for political reasons and no other reasons a Democratic member, but he made it so that the NLRB now lacks a quorum to even act at all. Now, this is another one. The member that he fired, the Democrat, Gwen Wilcox, appointed by Biden, has made it clear that she is going to fight this hard, and she will, and she should prevail. I'll get back to that in a moment. But again, chaos prevails for the moment. If there's any kind of fight about this, the NLRB remains paralyzed. It's as if he just, in his bombardier plane just went and leveled it to the ground. There is no NLRB in the meantime. And of course, Trump will be fighting his battles with the full power of the federal government, including the completely now captured Department of Justice that will have to stand up and looks to me will stand up and make arguments for this blatantly, we'll start with unprecedented action. Now, let's move a little to the law. There have been a series of cases. We have a whole lot of independent agencies in the country. They've been absolutely critical to all kinds of progress and actions by the government since when they really came of age is the FDR era. Now, by independent agencies, it means there are some constraints on the president's ability to just remove people willy-nilly. If he wants to fire tomorrow his cabinet member, Secretary of Labor, or he just says, goodbye, you work directly for me and see you later. Independent agencies are designed to be insulated from that. Not completely. They can be fired, and NLRB people can be fired with a showing of, but Congress has passed a law saying you can't fire them without a showing of malfeasance or dereliction of duty. You've got to make a certain showing. That's something that Trump has just completely ignored, as he did with the inspectors general, and just decided it. Now, the argument I think you're going to see from the Department of Justice on behalf of Trump is this limitation where he has to have a reason is unconstitutional. And that would be, in essence, a frontal attack on the entire administrative state. It would be saying we can't have independent agencies because they limit, in some ways, the president's appointment power and removal power, and that's unconstitutional. This is sort of the core argument of the unitary executive. Now, there have been a few cases in which the Supreme Court, and this is, again, going to go to the Supreme Court, really endorsed an aggressive challenge to independent agencies made by Trump, actually, to say that if you have a single person at the head of the agency, this is an argument that Brett Kavanaugh became enamored of, and the court came to endorse. At least 5 justices did. That's too much power for one guy. Why exactly? It's just too much. It's not just that you need a reason, but it's only this one guy, and that defeats in some ways, some loosey-goosey way, the separation of powers. What's never been questioned, what's always implicitly been reaffirmed by those cases, is instances where power is exercised by a board, more than one person, especially, as is typically the case, a bipartisan board with Democrats and Republicans. So this is the same as his saying, even a board can't in any way constrain my powers, and that's the legal issue that it's going to present. And it wouldn't shock anyone if 2 or 3, possibly 4, but 3 justices of the Supreme Court, which is just a terrible kind of wild card in all these considerations. A different Supreme Court, the whole profile, the whole constitutional crisis that we're in the midst of would feel so different. But we can't really have confidence that the Supreme Court won't say, well, basically, you can't have independent agencies, or that would be tantamount to what they're saying if the NLRB and its 5-person board, if Trump can simply fire a member there, and of course a Democratic member, for no reason, the same way he could fire a cabinet member or chief of staff. I just don't like the cut of your jib anymore. Goodbye. That's fine for the very inner circle of servants, not for all these governmental agencies. So for one, at a minimum, he wreaks havoc with no cost to him personally, a lot of cost, as all these moves have, to the American people, but he quite clearly doesn't give a shit. So for one, he wreaks chaos. For 2, he gets to fight with all the levers and resources of the U.S. government, whose traditional role of upholding the law and even sort of advancing the cause of equal justice has been turned on its head. And for 3, on this one anyway, I had a different view on the whole impoundment with the OMB, but on this one, it's not out of the question that he could prevail because of a Supreme Court opinion that would have been inconceivable just a few years ago. And that would effectuate I would say revolution, but it's a reaction, that is to say, a complete going back to the past of a government structure that literally would disable independent agencies, and all they do would wreak havoc and disaster, as indeed will be the temporary state of play in the labor area now that there is no NLRB. So as long as this is fought, unless, of course, courts grant injunctions to hold this up while it's being determined, the status quo has been changed in a way that is unconstitutional, anti-constitutional, and very deleterious for the American people. Have I said that a madman is now president? A madman is now president and going around Washington, just shooting up any place or institution he can find, wreaking terrible havoc, and completely indifferent. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.